I'm gonna back up just a little bit so you can see, because we're gonna actually start with the ball right in the middle of your buttocks. So I really wanna work on upright posture and the whole spine today. And so when we sit a lot, it turns off our butts. So I'm gonna use the ball, put it right into the middle of my left glute, and just lean against the wall. And just feel it sink into the middle of your buttocks. What if you have two different balls? Choose the one that feels better. Try both. And then I'm just gonna sweep my hips side to side, kind of like I'm dancing, shifting my weight from left foot to right. And just get a sense of the feeling of that ball right in my glute. And then if you find a spot that's particularly tender, you can pause right there. You can do little circles around it. The more upright you are, the closer you are to the wall, the less tension you'll get, and the less pressure you'll get. The further you walk your feet away, the more pressure you'll get. So you're in control of how much resistance and how much pressure you have in that area. And then if you want, you can do just a little bounce of your knees. Think of it like just a little like you're just doing a little kid, like bouncing up and down. So it's really gentle. It's not like a squat, but it's just a kind of a little chug, I usually call it. So now that you get the zigzag across the back of the glutes. And I'm having you start down here just to turn on that musculature. Since we spend so much of our time sitting, those muscles tend to shut off, tend to get lazy, are really underused. So by activating that musculature, it's gonna give us more postural stability from the ground up. And so whatever way feels right, sweeping side to side, little circles, kind of scrubbing that glute, or a zigzag up and down. Just explore how it feels. Oops, I'm on the corner. And then now, angle yourself to the wall so that the ball comes right to the side of the hip, just behind the bony hip point. So behind the greater trochanter of the hip, where those hip rotators attach to the hip bone. And now you're just gonna do that little up and down again, right along the back edge of the ball of the hip. And then now, try to make a couple circles right around that hip bone, right around that bony landmark of the hip. Reposition the ball as it's necessary. I have my feet kind of staggered, so one foot in front of the other is helpful here. And then I'm gonna pause with that ball right kind of in the pocket of my pants. So I'm still on the pelvis and right in front of and a little bit higher to that bony point in the hip. There should be a pretty hard spot. This is right where the tensor fasciae lata is. So the TFL, or the muscle that contracts the IT band. So I always say like you're putting your hands in your pockets. My boss, he says like you're putting your gun in your holster. That's right where you want the ball to go. And then again, just give a little groove up and down, a little zigzag, forward and back. Great. And then go ahead and release, let go of that ball and just stand, come back to standing. And as you stand upright, oops, just shift your weight side to side, just from your left foot to the right, and notice the difference. You can probably feel that you can shift over to the left way more easily now. It feels like that left leg's a lot firmer, like a lot more stable. You can bear your weight, accept it with a lot more ease as you shift onto that leg. You might even feel a difference in how the feet feel on the earth. My left foot feels a little wider now. So now let's go to the other side. So right in the middle of the right cheek. Just explore a little bit. I walk my feet out. I'm about a foot, foot and a half, maybe a foot and a half away from the wall. And then just feel yourself shift side to side. So the weight shifts onto the left, then onto the right. Going at whatever pace feels right for you. Trying to keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the jaw relaxed. The jaw is really intimately connected to the pelvis. So notice if you're clenching right now. And then if you find a tender spot, maybe just hold right there or do little circles around that tender point right in the middle of your glute. And then a little chug, a little zigzag again, just kind of gently bouncing the knees up and down. As you do that, think of like a kid swinging their arms in their empty coat sleeves. Like it's just everything's relaxed. So using as little energy as possible, just exploring that glute. And then when you feel ready, when you feel like you've gotten through all that territory, churning on a diagonal a little bit, so that you're right at the back part of the bony part of the hip. So not on the bone, just at the border, right on the side of the hip. And I'm just gonna go up and down a little bit here now, right where the hip rotators attach into the greater trochanter of the hip. Make sure that you reposition the ball so that you find that just right spot. Listen to the sensations of your body. So the sensations of the body are going to cue you in to where you want to go, where you need to go. So like the brain thinks in thoughts, the body thinks in feelings or sensations. So listen to the sensations and have interest, kind of lean into them and say like, oh, what is this saying? Does it want me to go here? And that's why this work is so good. It's going to make you your best teacher, your best therapist. And then now, little circles around the outside of the hip, drawing circles around the border of the hip bone, that lateral hip bone. And then pause, come right into that pocket muscles. If you were to put your hand in your pocket, there is that firm spot just behind the bony point in the front of the hip, or that ASIS, where you put your hand on your hip. Just behind there, more to the side of the body, where that muscular area of the IT band is. And we're starting here because then that IT band becomes part of the chain that forms the glutes, forms the low back, and then goes right into the lats and all the way up overhead. So it's one line. Take about another 30 seconds here, feeling into whatever sensations are rising against the contact of the balls. And then release. And then again, just take a couple steps in place. Maybe shift your weight to the left, shift your weight to the right again. And notice how you can shift probably more on that side-to-side plane. You have a little bit more movement along the frontal plane, which tells us, oh, those glutes are kicking in a little bit better now. Those glutes remember how to fire after getting that sensation into them. So now we're going to keep working our way up the spine till we get all the way up. Now, I'm going to take a smaller ball since most of you have them, just so I can feel what it feels more like for you. Now coming above the crest of the pelvis, right into the low back. We're going to sweep in that low back area now from right beside the spine out towards the side of the hip. But in the low back, that space between the rib cage and the pelvis. I really like to go across the top crest of the pelvis to begin. So again, I'm shifting side to side, going through that space. So we're going across the quadratus lumborum, this big sandwich type muscle that keeps the rib cage and the pelvis connected. When this is really tight, it's hard for abdominals to activate well because we're being pulled into extension. It's hard for us to twist, getting separation of movement between the rib cage and the pelvis. And remember, you're in control of how much pressure you put into the ball. The slower you move, the more you lean into it, the more pressure you're going to have. If you start to feel your jaw clenching, if you start to feel your fist squeezing, back off a little bit. Let off on that pressure so that you can move smoothly. And then now let's switch sides. So coming to the other side, exploring that area between the rib cage and the pelvis, starting just beside the spine, not on the spine, and then sweeping out towards the side. Making sure you're breathing, keeping that motion smooth. Moving with ease, shoulders are relaxed, head is relaxed. And then remove the ball and let's pause. I want to move in, keep moving our way up, getting into a little bit more of the thoracic spine now. So if you have two balls that are the same size, I'll recommend doing both balls. You can try both balls if you have two, but the different sizes probably won't work too well. So in that case, probably what I'll have you do is I'll have you do one side of the spine, then the other. We're going to come right around here, and we're going to roll those muscles on both sides of the spine, right in the middle and lower part of the rib cage. So I'm going to do them together, but if you have two different sizes, do one, then do the other, and I'll cue you about halfway through when to switch. So again, put the balls right in the back, right around for women like that bra strap line area. And then you're going to start with the legs out, and you're going to bend and straighten a little bit. Again, just that little chug up and down. Just gliding along the musculature on each side of the spine. Staying below right now the level of the shoulder blades. Think about taking nice deep breaths. If you find an area that is particularly sensational, maybe think about pausing Breathing in, feeling the breath push into the balls. And then exhaling and sinking a little bit deeper and seeing if you can let that sensation subside a little bit. And notice what's happening in the rest of the body. Notice if you're tightening other places. And then maybe see what happens if with your arms by your sides, you just do a little side bend. What does that do? Maybe change the location. If you're on one side, now might be a good time to switch to the other side. Find that just right spot of sensation, that hurt so good spot, that spot that's calling to you, where you can comfortably sustain the pressure without clenching, guarding, resisting. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining, Melinda. We're using therapy balls right now along the spine, one on each side. Let me know if you have any questions. And then if you switch sides, if you have one ball, just a little up and down again, a little bit of that chugging, staying from the lower ribs right up to the bottom edges of the shoulder blades. Not quite yet in that shoulder blade area. And then maybe try side bending again. Maybe you just go one direction, or you go side to side. Maybe even notice, what does it feel like this time if you go to that action again? If the arms come behind the head and you reach the elbow down. Notice how different that feels in the side waist. Feel the change in the lats. We started, like I said, working that side chain of the body all the way down at the side of our hip. Finishing up with another few sweeps in that area. Yeah, if you haven't done it yet, give that a try. Just notice what that feels like. It really has a unique feel, changing the arm position. You feel a lot more opening in the sides of the ribs, the intercostal spaces. Taking one more deep breath, letting go of motion and maybe just holding sustained compression for a moment. Shaking the head no, relaxing the jaw, and then release the balls. So we've gotten from about here to here. Now we're gonna go into that shoulder blade area. So a lot of us tend to feel pressure, stretching, irritation along the back body, but a lot of times that's a result of being like this. So we're gonna start in the front body to open ourselves up, and just doing that is going to take away a lot of strain from the back body before we go into the back shoulder blade area. So I see a couple of you have corners. This works better with a larger ball, like the Tune Up Fitness Alpha Ball, which I highly recommend and I love. Their products are great. And that's what I've trained in and used. So I like this ball because it gives me a little bit more space, so I'm not like right up against the wall. But if you have, so Kenzie, I use the bigger, kind of softer ball. Margot, you can try the bumpy one if you want, because it's also a little softer. But the corner, if you have a smaller one, more tennis ball size, bring that ball right underneath the collarbone. We're gonna work out from where the collarbone and the sternum meet, out towards the front of the shoulder. So a corner is a perfect place to do that. You're gonna hinge your body forward a little bit and kind of wedge the ball there by lunging. So one foot in front of the other into the wall. And you're gonna be able to sweep across the front of the collarbone. A larger ball will be more comfortable than the smaller ball because it's more direct pressure. So Brian, if you don't have something, if you feel way too close, come to a corner, or I have a block or a thick book could also do the job. If you put a thick book there, you can hold the book with the hands that you're not, you can hold the book with the hands you're not rolling, the side you're not rolling, and that's just gonna give you more space so you don't feel like you're pressed into the wall. And you're just gonna travel underneath the collarbone, from the chest bone out to the front of the shoulder, back. So it's gonna be just like this. Out and back. Everyone's like, what am I doing? So if you're on a corner, the head has freedom to move. You kind of lean into it. If you're too close to the wall, take your book or your block, put the ball right on top of it, lean into it. Hold the book with the hand side you're not rolling. And so we're getting into the pec now. And then move that ball down a little bit. And I'll show you again in the camera. I want you to go with your knees up and down, now rolling not on the sternum, but right off the sternum, sort of into the pec. If you feel like, oh my God, this is just too much, or this is not working, you can just use the ball. Candy, I didn't see that. Did you send me a message? Did you send it in Zoom? You can unmute yourself if you want. Can I unmute you? Yeah. Go ahead.
I just said if your hands start, like as soon as I was rolling it here, and my hands going numb and cold.
Right, so so back off a little bit, take pressure off of that. And if it's too much, if you keep feeling that, you can just use the ball like right on the skin. You can do like what's called skin rolling. You can just go like that.
Okay.
This area is where our whole brachial plexus lies, right underneath the pecs.
Okay.
So any compression can get at that vasculature, get into those nerves. So just be really careful. Don't get into the armpit. So maybe for you, and when I do the skin rolling, I like going like this. I like twisting the ball, like even getting like right on the skin. I do a little twisting. This is a really nice modification.
Okay.
If you feel like you don't have good mobility or it's too tender.
Okay.
And you're using the softball, right? The air one? The one that has air inside. Or try this now. So come off of right under the collarbone, because this is where I was having y'all go next. And then you're going to go against the wall again, but you're going to go outside the sternum, the chest bone, and you're going to roll up and down, kind of like this.
Okay.
Right along where the pec meets the sternum. So try that. I'll leave you unmuted for a second and just let me know. It shouldn't go none there.
That's better.
Yeah. So now you can go up and down there, and you can do a little zigzag in and out there, kind of along the lines of the ribs. And so now you're still getting into the musculature, but you won't be compressing that brachial plexus, that nerve and vasculature bundle that goes through the armpit and serves the whole arm. So you don't want that sensation to occur. You want to stay off of that, off of those sensations. Yeah, but doing even off of those sensations, that's going to help the stretching and mobilization of those nerves and of all of that as it goes, serves the whole arm. Great. You're welcome. So I'm going to mute you again just so I don't get the feedback. But again, please feel free to answer any questions. I think that I didn't get your message in the chat because I might be logged in under my on my phone and I'm looking at my computer.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free to ask if you have any questions. Let's let go of the rolling on this side. Now we're gonna come to a stretch on this side. So again, make sure you have the wall. What I want you to do is stand facing the wall, get your arm out like a T along the wall. Even press the front of the shoulder into the wall. Then start turning your body sideways away. So we'll get a really nice stretch through the front of the chest, the front of the shoulder, and I want you to think about making that rotation come from the pelvis so that your left hip is butted up against the wall. And now notice what happens. Did you tighten? Because this is a pretty intense stretch. Try to lean into the wall rather than pull away so that the whole arm is touching the wall. And then just the pelvis and the chest are rotating away. Notice if you started to tighten the tops of your shoulders. Notice if you started to tighten the jaw. And then come back to the sense of your breath. What happened to your breathing? Can you elongate the breath again? Take 2 more breaths. And then release. Woo, shake out that arm. And then now, I always love to do a little test retest before going to the other side. Just notice, how does it feel as you move your shoulders up and down? How does it feel as you move your shoulders forward and back? I find that after I roll the front, I can even move the shoulder forward more, as well as back more. And then just feel, how do your arms hang at your side as you find a little bit of stillness here? Yeah, awesome. So let's go to the other side. So rolling first underneath the collarbone if that was too much, or if that you can do a little bit of the skin rolling first, like turning the ball here, kind of twisting the skin, or you can roll under the collarbone, or if you just want to go right to rolling along the sternum, you have a lot of different places you can go and different techniques that you can do now. So we started rolling under the collarbone if that was sustainable and felt right to you. Otherwise, rolling a little bit lower, more along the rib cage, along the ribs you can do. And then rolling just outside of the sternum. And again, you can, a softer ball or a larger surface ball tends to be a little bit more sustainable for this area. When I start rolling, and I do most of my rolling on the floor, my favorite is using a large air-filled ball. So this is really beautiful to get into here. It gives a lot, just a much more kind of airy general feel. So go ahead, do what feels right for you. And if you get tenure points, make sure that you pause to breathe into them. So as we're going across this area here, this is where all the lung meridian points are in traditional Chinese medicine. Those are all associated too with respiration and anxiety. So we tend to hold here. And right now this is kind of an anxious, uncertain time. So you probably have found some tender points right along here. So as you feel that, maybe lean into it and just breathe into it to soften or let go of some of those anxiety points. Yeah, if you And then when you feel like you've sufficiently explored that area, you can take your right arm out now like a T. Take the right arm along the wall. Press the whole hands into the wall. Press the biceps into the wall. Press the front of the shoulder into the wall. Then start to rotate your feet away from the wall. And try to let the right hip rest into the wall so that you get a nice stretch through the biceps, through the pec. Just be gentle with that, Brian, but that looks amazing. Great range in that direction. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you. Bicep. Yeah, does it feel okay? It's good. Thanks. Good, hold that, give that about another 30 seconds or so. Barbara, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, good. Did you have a question?
Not yet.
Okay. Do you mind if I put you on mute? You can ask a question if you have one. You can just unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Shake those arms out. We're going to come into the backs of the shoulders now. So we just freed up the front, which actually allows the shoulder blades to move better. We're going to do one more standing series with the ball right along the shoulder blade now. So now we're going to get into the middle of that back, right along the shoulder blade. So one more standing series there. Then we're all going to come down to the floor. And since you were by a wall, legs are going to go up the wall, just so you know. So here we go. Take the ball right to the inside of the shoulder blade. Let's start with the left, so we're all kind of on the same page. You might use the opposite hand to reach up to put it there. Walk the feet out a little bit. And then first, just use your legs to explore right along the ridge, right along the edge of the shoulder blade. Oh, Brian, if you want to do the right side first to feel it, you can. Totally up to you whether you want to do the surgical or non-surgical side. And so I get this point where like I get a little like bump. I just go a little bump. You have your rhomboids that connect here. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take my left arm and put my left hand and put on my opposite shoulder. And I'm just gonna do a little side to side and kind of nudge into the edge of the shoulder blade. So I'm off the shoulder blade, but nudging, like butting up into the edge of the shoulder blade. Right from like going in that space between the shoulder blade and the spine. So now I'm going a little side to side between the shoulder blade and the spine, going up and down on a couple different segments. And then you can use both hands if you want to give yourself a hug, if that's a little more comfortable for your arms. And so I'm really trying to dig into that border of the shoulder blade. I'll turn around so you can see. So I'm just rolling right here. And you see the shoulder blade sticking out a little bit. I'm going right into that edge, right into that edge, right into that edge, kind of traversing up and down and trying to free up the edge of the shoulder blade, getting into the rhomboids. And then you can try, if you feel inclined, now that you open that up, try going up and down again. And maybe it's a little smoother. You're not getting those little speed bumps along the edge. And so we started here by moving the body, keeping the shoulder blades still. But now let's keep the body still. So find that just right spot along the inside edge of the shoulder blade, lean into it. Now Left arm is what's doing the movement. Shoulder blade shrugs, shoulder blade goes down. Maybe change that ball position just a little bit. Explore that area, find that just right spot. Shoulder blade shrugs, shoulder blade reaches down. As you reach down, really reach your fingertips towards the floor. Now, see what happens when you reach your arm up and then arm comes down. Change that spot along there. The shoulder blade has to move up, upwardly rotate to get the arm up overhead. I'm even taking my opposite arm, coming to the bottom corner of my shoulder blade, giving it a little tug. You can give that a little try. So reach around the armpit to the back, pull the bottom corner of the shoulder blade forward, and see what happens. The arm might get way back, may touch the wall. Nice. Yeah, really give that pull with the underarm, Brian, with the underhand. Yeah. And then let's change the direction. Now let's pull the elbow down towards your pocket and then reach up and overhead. You may even get a little side bends with this. Pull the elbow down, maybe even contract the left side waist, and then reach up and over, just changing the plane of motion. Reach up and over. Still feeling the ball, right? Maybe even hold your bottom ribs. If you feel like you're not getting that side bend through the upper rib cage, yeah, so that you're really expanding under the armpit. And really mobilizing the upper back and the shoulder blade as it sits and moves along the rib cage. Now just a couple shoulder circles, finish it up. Okay, stand up, walk your feet back to the wall, let the ball drop out. And then just come along the wall. Just stand along the wall and notice the difference of how the left shoulder blade rests on the wall and the right shoulder blade rests on the wall. Probably feels pretty different now. And then maybe even bring your hands up like you're trying to do a field goal position on the wall and notice the difference. You'll probably feel a difference between left and right now. Just a nice test and retest. Other side. Right inside the shoulder blade, in that space between the shoulder blade and the spine. Little up and down. First, using the legs. And then maybe wrapping the right hand over the left shoulder, giving yourself a little hug, and now going across, bumping into the edge of that shoulder blade, trying to get into that space right between the shoulder blade and the rib cage. So prying the shoulder blade away from the rib cage. This area is super important for us to mobilize in order to be able to breathe into. Like I said, we worked on that chest. When we tend to get shallow breathing, it tends to be very up here in the collarbones. But where we really want to send our breath as we breathe in is into the upper back. We want to feel the breath expand into the upper back. So if you find a place of sensation, Think about taking a deep breath in and sending your breath there, pushing the breath into that point where the ball and the body meet. Maybe sustaining that for a couple breaths. And then go ahead and drop the arms, reposition that ball to the just right spot. Maybe go up and down a couple more times, seeing if it's smoother, if there are less speed bumps. And then now, take the right arm, reach the right arm up overhead. Maybe reposition the ball a couple times, sneak the ball out right to that shoulder blade border. If you want to give a little gentle assist, you can use the left hand to scoop up the bottom corner of the shoulder blade, help with the upward rotation and protraction of the shoulder blade. Oops. to get the arm up overhead. Yeah. And then once you get to the top, notice, what does it feel like if you actually push the arm back? So you actually activate the shoulder in that end range. Hold it, and then release. Reset, shake that arm out. 1 second, need to move the lamp. And then take that arm now out to the side. Try the side plank, abduction. So ball is still in the edge of the shoulder blade, in that space right in the ribs where the shoulder blade meets up against it. Push the arm back, try to get it into the wall, even if you can. Then reach up and then pull down, compressing your side waist and then reaching up and out of your side waist. Maybe your left hands come to your right lower ribs to keep them down a little bit so that you get more mobilization in the upper rib cage. Breathing. Meeting yourself right where you are, feeling that just right location, just right position, adjusting the ball, adjusting the body so that you can be exactly where you need. You're your own therapist right here, right now. So asking your body, oh, where do I want to be? What do I need exactly in this moment? And then when you're ready, remove the ball. And we're all going to do the best part, come onto our backs. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up for a very last thing. So it is 12:45 right now. You can come and hold this position as long as you like. If you have a meeting or something, you're free to go, but make sure you see this first. You're going to lie on your back with your legs up the wall. Do you have a question, Margot? Okay. Let's find the floor and my lamp. And I'm going to use a little book for my balls to prop up my head. I'm going to lie against the wall, and I'll show you 2 different options depending on what you have. Legs up, really let go and let the whole back be supported by the floor now. And I'm going to take my little book and my set of therapy balls right into the back of my head. So they get right where all those connecting muscles of the neck and shoulders begin, right at the ridge of my occiput. So hopefully you can see that there. If you don't have the book, it tends to be too low. So I'm going to show you what happens. You tend to kind of go whoop. But so that's one option. You can also use that slightly larger ball if you have it without the block or book, And that single ball, I can also bring right there into the middle of the occiput, and then I can kind of create a little platform for the base of my head. So whether you have one or two, find whatever position works to prop the head up on a little platform, and think about tucking the chin, rotating the chin down towards the throat so that the head actually tractions off the spine a little bit. And then to reinforce that posture reset, I want you to take your arms out 90 degrees, like field goal arms. So with L's at the elbows, and let the back of the hands rest heavy on the floor. If there's space between your arms and the floor and they can't lie flat, I would say take a little prop, maybe take one of your balls to prop up where you're not reaching the floor. Take a little blanket or a pillow or something so that the arms can just be heavy and drop into whatever surface is beneath them. And wherever you are, just allow yourself to be there. Let the body be completely relaxed. Let the head just drop. Let the shoulders fall back. Collarbones broaden. Yeah, that looks lovely. Feel the weight of your body and feel the force of gravity pushing down on you. Using gravity as your friend, allowing the force of gravity to be greater than any muscular effort at the moment, so that you can sink into the floor and allow yourself to feel completely supported. And then feeling the breath in the body again, without changing it, without controlling it. Just feel how the breath flows in and flows out, naturally mobilizing the rib cage without your effort. Just allowing that to happen on its own. Feeling how the mobility we created in this area is now naturally being flushed with fresh air. Allowing it to be penetrated, permeated, perfused a little bit more. So that you can breathe deeper. And then let go of the breath. And allow yourself to step back even more into the space behind the breath. And find a moment of pause, a moment of ease, sense of rest and well-being in that space. Space that's always there. Space we created in this practice. Just rest in that spaciousness. Letting go of any thoughts. Allowing them just to float away. Letting the brain be heavy in the skull. Relax your head completely. And when you feel ready, or when it feels needed, without rushing, you can remove the balls from the base of the head. Let the head rest on the floor for a moment. And then hug the knees to your chest. And roll to your side, giving yourself a nice little squeeze here in the fetal position. Taking one more second to nurture the child within you. And remembering that you have the tools and you know how to give yourself exactly what you need. And then when you're ready, coming up to sit. Thank you so much for joining me to take a little time out to take care of yourself. I'll be here every day from 12 to 12:45, Monday through Friday. Okay? I'm here to answer any questions you have now. Thank you for joining.